Good afternoon, everybody. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. I'm going to be playing you a voice recording. I called the Kentucky Farm Bureau. This is the insurance company that I pay a ridiculous amount of money annually, both for my auto and for my house and external buildings. I have now read my policy just about 3 times. It's very ambiguous, okay? And the way it works in law is that their ambiguity actually rules against them because they have not specifically stated anywhere that what happened to the vandalism isn't covered. They're claiming it's not. But I want you to hear it for yourself because you've already viewed some of the photos online. And I want to tell you that this insurance adjuster, Sean McKenzie, he's 6'5". If I showed you the photos that he took, you would say this is unbelievable. It looks like it's taken from a huge distance away. He never crouched down to photograph the pick marks. You can actually see like pick marks in the soil of the stream bank. He took them from quite a distance away, in addition to the fact that he's 6'5" and never stooped down to take an accurate photo. He took everything from above, which created huge shadows. And it appears from his vantage point that there's nothing wrong. So anyway, he also did not address that there were literal pick marks in the tree that I showed him, because he took it at an angle that didn't depict the pick marks, and one from a different vantage point that almost appeared as if the tree just had the bark removed without the pick marks. So according to my policy, the perils that they do insure against is vandalism and malicious mischief. It says here that but it doesn't include loss if the insured premises of the residence has been vacant for more than 30 consecutive days immediately preceding the loss, or a dwelling under construction, neither of which was the case here. I haven't been away from my house, probably in months. It happened overnight. I heard people running on my property at 4 o'clock in the morning. The fact that my cameras are disabled, or that I've already previously reported the sheriff's department for not photographing the vandalism, he didn't want to hear about it. He didn't care. And I do want to tell you that Brenda Ayers, who's I think the owner of the agency, this was a few months back, and I told her that, you know, when I moved here, like, my neighbors automatically started to tell me where my property began and ended. They were trying to steal my property back then. And she had the audacity to say, after showing her all this vandalism, oh, well, you really need to get along with your neighbors, as if it's my fault. Gaslighting the victim. I'm the one being victimized, and she has the audacity to tell me that I should get along with my neighbors. No, the neighbor should get along with me. So that's the way the Kentucky Farm Bureau works. They're negligent. They do not abide by their policies. They gaslight. And they're committing insurance fraud. So please, let's listen to this. I'm going to play it back for you. I've had an opportunity to look through, you know, obviously I received your letter, but I had already requested a copy of the policy from Brenda, and for some reason it got lost in the mail, so, you know, it took another week for it to get here. So I finally reviewed it, and I reviewed the section on vandalism and theft, what's permissible, what isn't permissible, and also viewed the photos. Can I ask you, how tall of a man are you?
I'm 6'5".
That's what I thought. From the angle that you photographed the pictures, you can tell that, you know, you're a very tall man, and that the angle not only shadowed much of the concavity and the real severe damage that was done, but didn't accurately depict the vandalism. So I photographed it. I've gotten down actually at my knee level. You know, I'm a foot shorter than you. We were disconnected. We were disconnected, so he
Hello?
calls back.
Yes, you're in the middle of a sentence.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Lost you there.
Oh, yeah, okay. So I looked at all the photos. They did not accurately provide the perspective of damage visually. Most of it was because of your height. You know, you were taking it from like up all the way up here, photographing downward at an angle that basically hid the damage that was taking place underneath the wall supports. And even, you know, that I'm shorter than you, I had to...
Which specific pictures are we talking about here? For which damage?
Yes, for the damage from the stream in back of my house.
Okay, so I'm going to cut you off on that one, not to be rude.
Yes.
We don't cover rocks, dirt, streams, anything like that. It's not covered under your policy. Whether it's vandalism or not, it's not covered.
Okay, well, that's not what it says in my policy. And in looking at the policy here, it gives me what is apparel, what's not apparel, and the fact that I was home the entire time. It's not like I wasn't home or away from the residence that this happened. It's not that this hasn't been reported repeatedly in the community here. And also that there were a multitude of things that happened basically at the same early morning. I mean, I think I mentioned to you, I was lying in bed. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I heard...
Here's the thing. We have no police report. Okay, we have no proof that there was vandalism. It looks like to me that all this is wear and tear, whether it be on your stream, whether it be on a building. None of this is covered based on your policy. You have a very specific named peril policy, and none of the perils that are named in your, again, pages 14 and 15 in the book there, none of those are covered.
Well, one...
My decision stands, though. I mean, it does. Regardless of the angle that I took the pictures, it really doesn't change anything at all. Again, rocks, barks, tree, grass, any of that is just not covered, Ms. Valente. I mean, if it was, we would be paying for it, but it's not covered.
Okay, well, basically, your peril is vandalism or malicious mischief.
Okay, but vandalism, if it's vandalism or malicious mischief, again, it doesn't matter if it's vandalism or malicious mischief. We don't pay for dirt and rocks. Those aren't things that are covered under your policy. Those aren't covered perils under your policy.
Well, it doesn't specifically say that.
Exactly.
It doesn't.
Exactly.
Well,
that's to in this type of policy.
Well, no. Actually, when it's ambiguity, well, I know I've been in lawsuits before. The fact that you've created ambiguity actually is in my favor. Okay, because you haven't specified under vandalism and malicious mischief. Well, first let me backtrack. Nowhere in here does it say that I need to file a police report on vandalism. It does specifically say that on theft.
The burden of proof is on you, and there is no proof that vandalism was done to your property. There's no proof whatsoever.
Oh, it's obvious. Oh, it's so obvious. My photos are all online, and people are absolutely appalled. Okay? And it's because your photos do not accurately depict the vandalism, and that somebody used a pic.
I take pictures the way I take pictures.
I understand.
From the angle I take them. But here's the thing, Ms. Valente, and I'm not trying to be rude, but none of this is covered based on your policy. The denial stands, and if you need to talk to somebody else, you can talk to my district claims manager. But I've gone over it with her several times, and she agrees that none of that is covered.
Well, it actually, according to your policy here, it doesn't say that it's not covered. And also, there were some photos that were taken that you didn't even mention in your negation of the claim, which is the deliberate puncturing of a hole in my vinyl siding, the puncturing of holes in the underpinning of 3 buildings. I don't use a weed eater. So this was done deliberately. While you did take some photos of it, it wasn't even mentioned in your denial. And also, the fact that...
Ma'am, you walked me around the property for
Well, I'm filing a claim for vandalism. Now, that tree that you photographed didn't accurately depict the pick marks on that tree, which I have photographed.
It's not covered, whether there are pick marks or whether my picture was better, whether the angle was off. It's not covered.
It's vandalism and mischief.
I can take 20 pictures of that tree that doesn't make it covered.
So what actually...
I don't know how to explain this to you.
Can you explain to me vandalism, what is covered under my policy? Because as far as I'm concerned, this is considered to be farm insurance. You are Kentucky Farm Bureau, and I own a farm with multiple buildings and a stream, all of which were known prior to my adopting the policy with you guys. And I'm going to say it for the record, that there was one instance where Brenda had the audacity to say to me on the phone about this vandalism and the criminal trespassing of my neighbors. She says, oh, well, you really need to get along with your neighbors. Excuse me? I am the victim. I'm being victimized by a community harassment group that doesn't like it that I'm a single woman living alone, and they choose to bully me and harass me. And the fact that my property is listed for sale...
That's between you and your neighbors. I'm a claims adjuster. It has nothing to do with me, nor does it have anything to do with this claim.
Well,
okay?
I'm just stating for the record that Brenda did have the audacity at one time to say that I should get along with my neighbors.
I don't work right.
Well, this is an assault on me.
Brenda is not. So.
Okay. Now, and I want to say something about the sheriff's department, and you said that it was irrelevant.
No, listen, I don't need to hear your gripes and complaints about the sheriff's department. Again, it has nothing to do with the claim.
Well, it does when you tell me that there was no police report.
Okay, I understand that you told me multiple times now that the police did not want to file a report. Now, you speculated why they have not. That's between you and the police department. I don't get into speculation. I handle facts. And the facts are that what you have claimed here is not covered under your policy, period. It's not going to change today. It's not going to change tomorrow.
Okay, well, could you please, and then what about the vinyl siding that was punctured? It wasn't even mentioned.
It's wear and tear. It looks to be
It's not wear and tear. It's a 5-year-old building that was deliberately punctured. Okay, I'm the only one that lives here.
That cannot be proven, Miss Valente.
How am I supposed to prove it?
Ma'am, I don't know. The burden of proof, though, is on you.
No. That's not the way it works. Okay?
Ma'am,
No. I can provide you before and after photos.
Miss Valente, if you would like to take this further, feel free to do so. But I'm telling you right now, as of today, the 18th of October at 4:02, I'm still denying your claim. Okay?
And you haven't even addressed the other issues. It's not wear and tear. A hole doesn't become punctured on my vinyl siding.
Ma'am, it could come from a rock, from a lawnmower, come from all kinds.
No, it did. That did not happen. It happened overnight. Overnight, all the vandalism happens, and I've mentioned this before. I was awake, and I heard people running on my property. Okay? And all that stuff happened overnight. Now, I'd like to ask you a question. What is covered under my policy for vandalism and mischief? Could you provide a list, please?
You can read your policy there.
I've read it 3 times. I've read my policy 3 times, which is why it's taken me a while. I do know that it should be covered. And because the damage to my property is not wear and tear. It's not weather related, because you have it in your mind to not accurately report what's happening here.
Again, you are speculating, and you are wrong.
Well, no, I'm not wrong. I live here. And I know what's been happening here.
Listen. If you feel like you need to take this further, feel free to call back and speak with my district claims manager. But as of right now, you and I have been going around and around again.
Can you tell me, because I want to know what is covered under vandalism and mischief. Could you please?
Her name is Donna Richmond.
Could you please tell me what is covered under vandalism and mischief?
Ma'am? Vandalism?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Someone tearing up your building, perhaps,
talking about the stream bank. We've had no rain.
Ma'am, oh my gosh, again, I told you, we don't insure dirt and rocks.
It's vandalism. You cover vandalism.
It doesn't matter. They can vandalize your stream all day long. We don't cover that. That's between you and them and the police department. It's not covered under your insurance policy.
Okay, so what is covered is tearing up my property, tearing up my buildings, a fire, but it doesn't include tearing up any wall surfaces of my stream. Is that what you're saying?
You got it. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So can I ask you, you've been doing this for a long time. This year alone, how many people have filed vandalism complaints that you have paid out?
Do not have those numbers.
Yeah. I'd be
Don't get them very often,
curious.
I can tell you that right now. So
Excuse me?
do not get many vandalism claims anyway. So
Well, that's because there's a high deductible here. And maybe people are just afraid to report it. Or maybe because they have reported it in the past and they're not covered.
Your deductible, not me. I have nothing to do with your deductible.
Well, I know. I've tried to get the deductible lower, but I'm told that it's not a possibility. But the problem is I live on a farm, and this is vandalized. It's not wear and tear. It's not weather-related. It's not water-related. Somebody used a pick on that and dug it out.
Okay, ma'am, I'm going to go ahead and go because we're getting nowhere. And if you have any more questions, feel free to call back and speak with my district claims manager.
Okay, well, I'm just going to say for the record that all of your photos were... There he goes. He hung up. This is proof. This is proof that the Kentucky Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company just hung up on me. His name is Sean McKenzie. He's a claim adjuster. It says 3, maybe that's a level 3. He's been doing it for a while. So I'm just going to read the claims letter that I received. Now, mind you, he photographed the hole on the side of my house that was done, the holes in all of the underpinning, meaning the boundary around all of the nonprofit building, the shed, and my house. Dear Lorraine Valenti, I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you about your claim. As discussed, based on the facts of the loss, the policy does not provide coverage for the following reasons. Your policy doesn't cover rocks in creek beds. We weren't talking about the creek beds. Trees. We weren't talking about the trees, except for one tree that was clearly with an ice pick. Somebody used some kind of a pick. Grass, we weren't talking about grass, or holes on my property. We weren't talking about on my property. We were talking about the deliberate vandalism to the stream walls, the borders surrounding where the water flows, and surrounding the culvert on my property, behind my house. He says the soffits that were hanging down look to be from either a lack of maintenance, they were just installed last year, by the way, or wind. We've had no wind. The nails that you had claimed were pulled out of the metal roof also looks like long-term wear and tear. It all happened in the same night. It all happened overnight. Somebody was on the roof and pulled the nails out. If you have any other additional information not previously considered, please do not hesitate to contact me. So I did. If I show you the photos that he took as a 6'5" man looking down, not only were there incredible shadows overshadowing the creek beds, but he did not stoop down, not once, to photograph what happens underneath and to actually see what appeared to be pick marks. It has nothing to do with wear and tear. It was absolutely deliberate. In addition, the fact that I had heard it at 4 o'clock in the morning and refused to listen to the fact that in the policy, it does not state anywhere that I need to file a complaint with the police department, unless it is a theft. If it is a theft, they want you to file a complaint with the police department. if it is a vandalism, nowhere in this policy, I've read it 3 times, does it say I need to file a police report. And yet I did tell him that I stopped filing those complaints because I've already reported them to the Attorney General's office, and he waved me off when he was here and said, I don't need to hear about that. Well, you do need to hear about it, because if you're requiring an incident report, then you need to know that the Sheriff's Department is not working on behalf of the consumer, of the people that pay their salaries. But he didn't want to hear that. He didn't want to hear that they've been reported to the Attorney General for that very thing, for not accurately filing reports or performing investigations. So in the past, and as you guys know, I have filed complaints for vandalism, but nobody has ever come here to photograph the vandalism, except me. So in their minds, their little pea minds, the vandalism doesn't exist because they've never photographed it. So anyway, I'm going to sign off for now, and I will be filing a complaint against this insurance company and looking for a new one, because obviously they're not even abiding by their own policy. If I read to you their policy, it should be covered. This is farm insurance. It's absolutely absurd. But anyway, this will be uploaded in a minute.
So there you have it, guys. That is my discussion with a senior claims adjuster. But for all you people out there that own property that have attempted to file a claim with your insurance company, not only are they not paying claims to people who have lost their homes, you know, like these people in North Carolina, but they're denying claims based upon, well, it doesn't appear like it's vandalism. Well, at your 6'5" height, if you stoop down, you'd be able to see the pick marks. But no, he's just walking around the property at his vantage point, and he wasn't going to pay for it anyway. Just the way he didn't pay for my theft claim, claiming that the antenna, he depreciated the value rather than increase the value based on the fact that it was a vintage and it can't be purchased anymore. But anyway, I'm going to sign off for now. Just upload this as evidence of insurance negligence and fraud. Again, if I showed you the photos that he took, you would be astonished. And he took 2 photos of me that had nothing to do with anything. And then he took 2 photos of both sides of my property, which had nothing to do with the claim. He just took these. So that's 4 photos. And then he took a photo of one of my porches where I have all this scrap metal stuff, you know, that I find on the property and stuff. So I just leave it like on one of the porches in a corner. He took a photo of that. But he didn't accurately photograph the pick marks and how there's no way that this was wear and tear. Okay, so anyway, just reporting on the negligence and fraud, and I'm going to be outing another person. We're going to be outing some of the real estate people that I've dealt with here, because I know some of you people have said, well, you really need to just get out of there. Well, you know, the real estate people are fraudulent also, and they're all paid off and bribed and whatever. And we'll discuss the one that I hired last year, but that'll be another video. This is Lorraine signing off for now. April, listen to me. October 18, 2024.